Hi, welcome back to day 51 of online learning. Today we're going over Unit 8, Lesson 3.2, and what we're going to be doing today is continuing our work with the Romarian children and also how many marbles that they're receiving. So what I'm going to do is pull up our lesson goals and objectives for today's video. The lesson goals and objectives for today's video is that you should be able to say, I will be able to identify arithmetic patterns and be able to explain them with a visual representation. And I will be able to use tables to identify and understand arithmetic patterns. So by arithmetic patterns, we mean patterns that are growing off of each other. So what I have here is a table that I'm using to represent the amount of marbles that Franek and Bolar got after 5 days. So this is only a partial table. It's not the full table that we're going to be using to figure out all the marbles that Bolar and Franek had after 20 days. So these representations, or this kind of representation, is called a table. And it's a table because it is shown by rows and columns. And I want us to remember that rows go across and columns go up and down. So what I have here is across, or my rows, say my beginning amount and the number of days that I'm representing, and it's labeled at the top. And then my columns are showing Franek and Bolar and how many they had after those days. So what I have up here is we needed to first remember the beginning amount that Bolar and Franek started with their marbles. So let's take a look right here. And I remember that Franek started with 30 marbles at the beginning. And Bolar started with 0 leftover marbles at the beginning. Pause me and look at this table right here, and I want you to think about how many marbles did Franek and Bolar get each night. They got different amounts. Franek got less than Bolar did, but they got the same amount each night. So Bolar every single night got 5 marbles. So if he starts with 0 marbles, and then night 1 he would get 5 marbles, he would have 5 marbles total. Whereas Franek got 3 marbles every night, but she already started with 30. Pause me and think about how many marbles Franek would have if she already started with 30, and then she got 3 more marbles that first night. What my equation would be 30, because that's what she started with, plus 3, which would equal 33. What I want you to do is pause me and think about how many marbles Franek and Bolar had after the second night. Franek would have 36 marbles because it would be 33 plus 3 equals 36. So she just got 3 more than the ones that she had the night before. And then Bolar would have 10 because we're adding 5 more marbles to the 5 that we already had. Pause me and think about how many marbles they would have after the third night. After the third night, Franek and Bolar would have 39 because all I'm adding is 3 to 30 from 36. And Bolar would have 15. What I want you to do is by yourself, fill out the rest of this table and think about how many marbles Franek and Bolar would have on the 4th and 5th night since they're getting the same each night. So for the 4th night, it would be 39 plus 3, and that would be 42. So Franek would have 42 marbles the 4th night, and then 42 plus 3. She would then have 45 marbles the 5th night. Now let's take a look at Bolar. Bolar had 15 on the 3rd night, so now I need to add 5 more marbles that they would get the 4th night. So that would be 20 marbles. And then I would add another 5 marbles for the 5th night. So that would be 25 marbles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a table on the computer and we're going to look over it together and think about how can we complete the rest of this table. What I have here is exactly what I had on the whiteboard, but now it's just typed out. It's a table that shows how many marbles Franek and Bolar had after each night. So what I want you to do is think about, what does this row of information of this table give about day 4? What does this number 42 mean on this table? Pause me and think about, what does 42 mean on this table? Right here, 42 means that Franek had 42 marbles after the 4th night of when the magic marble messenger was coming. What does 20 mean on this table? This means that on the 4th night, Bolar had 20 marbles. What I want us to do is, what do you notice about Franek and Bolar's marbles during these 5 days? Do you see any patterns of what's going on? Pause me and think about, what do you notice about Franek's pattern from this table? What I notice is all you are doing is you're adding 3. 30 plus 3, 33 plus 3, 36 plus 3, 39 plus 3, 42 plus 3, and then you get to 45. So each night, all you have to do is think about, in this column, you can add 3 more. So on the 6th night, pause me and think about, how many marbles would Franek have now? Franek would have 48 marbles, and then on the 7th night would have 51 marbles, because I'm still just adding 3. On the 8th night would have 54 marbles. Pause me and think about, what would she get on the 9th and 10th night? Since all I'm doing is I'm adding 3, Franek would then have 57 marbles on the 9th night and then 60 marbles on the 10th night. Pause me and think about, what pattern do you notice about Bolar's table, and how is each night, how is he getting more? What I notice here is that either you can add 5, but I also notice that 1 times 5 equals 5, 2 times 5 equals 10, 3 times 5 equals 15. Pause me and think about, what pattern can I say for this table to figure out how many marbles Bolar has each night? I notice that all you're doing is multiplying the night by 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. How many marbles would Bolar have after the 7th night? That's 35 marbles. Or I could just think 35 plus 5, which would be 40 for the 8th night. So I could either think about it going up and down in the columns where they're adding 5, or thinking about the rows when they're multiplying by 5. So 9 times 5 is 45, and 10 times 5 is 50. What do you notice about Franek and Bolar's marbles now? Pause me and talk with somebody at home about, what do you notice about how many marbles they have now? So I know that the 10th night, Franek has 60 marbles and Bolar has 50 marbles. Do you see any patterns? How can I describe what's happening as the days pass? So Bolar started with 0 marbles and Franek started with 30. So Franek started with a lot more than Bolar, but she's getting less each night. Give me a prediction. Do you think that Bolar is going to have more or less than Franek after the 20th night? What do you think is going to happen in the next 10 days? So what I want you to do is, with your prediction, I want you to comment in the chat bar of this assignment, and I want you to say what is a prediction that you have for the amount of marbles that Franek and Bolar has after 20 days. Who's going to have more? Who's going to have less? Give me a prediction. For your have to today, you're going to be working on pages 518 to 519, where you're going to be completing the rest of this table. I'm already going to have this table completed, so you just have to then do days 11 through 20. And then you're going to be going on page 519, and you're going to be comparing the amount of marbles that Bolar has to the amount of marbles that Franek has. So I'm going to pull up our have to right now so we can take a look. Your have to for today, it's pages 518 to 519, and here is the table that we just filled out through our lesson. So it says this table is already filled out for you. Use this information to complete page 518, the next page, for days 11 through 20. So you're going to scroll down here and fill out days 11 through 20 for the amount of marbles that Franek and Bolar had, using the information and the pattern that we realized from the table that we filled out here. So all you're doing is completing days 11 through 20 using the information that we already went over. And then on our third page, for page 519, you're comparing for the rules for Franek and Bolar. So you need to answer these questions and make sure you're showing your work or writing a rule of how you figured this out. Now let's take a look at your have to for today. So here's our have to for today. You need to complete pages 518 to 519, which is the table for Franek and Bolar. So use the first table that we went over from days 1 through 10 to help complete days 11 through 20. And then rules for Franek and Bolar, and make sure to show your work. And then you need to practice your facts I'm working on division flashcards for 10 minutes, and then do 15 minutes of IXL only on the highlighted skills. So the success criteria for what you should be able to do after watching the lesson and doing the have to, you should be able to say, I completed the table that shows how many magic marbles Bolar and Franek had. I use this information to answer the questions on page 519. And then in order to get a 3, you need to be able to say, I worked on all of the problems on pages 518 to 519, showed my work, practiced my basic facts, and did 15 minutes of IXL.